Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Leadership Matters with Dr. Sharon. I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter, and I cannot be more excited tonight to have our guest, Dr. Andra Townsel. He is the principal of Southbridge High School in Massachusetts, and I am just elated to have him. So I just need to say welcome, Dr. Townsel. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Very excited to be on your show. I followed your last podcast, and you're doing an awesome job. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to give just a few things about Dr. Townsel. He is is born and raised actually in Detroit, Michigan. He attended Howard University on a football scholarship. And one thing that I didn't know, he's a 3-time graduate of Howard University. Fellow Bison, yay, Howard. And I'm excited about that. And he recently became the principal of Southbridge High School about 2 years ago. And so we're going to really hear all about this story. And so, Dr. Townsel, you really are doing it up in Massachusetts, and I cannot be more proud of you. But can you tell everyone who Dr. Andra Townsel really is?
Yes, thank you. You shared it. I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Spent my entire life after high school in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Blessed to play football at Howard University, where I received my bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degree. One thing I can tell you is I've learned so much at the Mecca. Had some of the best professors, the best educators, the best mentors who I still communicate with today. And now I'm on a journey in my life where I've taken my leadership to the state of Massachusetts. Currently, I'm the high school principal of Southbridge High School, and we're a school under receivership. And what that means is that we're a Level 5 district, and instead of a regular superintendent in a school board or school committee, we have a receiver who serves as both the superintendent and a school board or a school committee. And I'm just passionate for education, passionate for closing achievement gaps, passionate for raising student achievement in all categories. And I'm just hungry. I want to be an educator that I had in my life, graduating from Detroit Public Schools. So I think that's who I am. I'm an educational leader who's really passionate about this field and really believe that we can change trajectory of young people's lives. Just by approaching the work with love and compassion, also with brains, because you have to be strategic and not have feelings or get your feelings hurt. This job is difficult, it's hard, it's not for the faint of heart, and it's a job where you have to be courageous and take risks for the betterment of our young people. So that's me in a nutshell. Hopefully I answered that correctly.
You did. And you know, I love your hashtag, Lead with Excellence. I absolutely love that. And I actually can see that through your work. So just you keep it up. And so I really want to start out by talking about your journey to the principalship. One of the things I work with aspiring principals, first and second year assistant principals, novice, really eager and really excited about becoming principals eventually. And one of the things that we find that everyone's path to the principalship is not the same. And so can you just share a little light on what your path and your journey was to the principalship?
Absolutely. Happy to share. What I remember, I was always, when I first entered the field of education, extremely observant of the entire school situation. And in all honesty, I'm right now in my 9th year of working in general. I joined the education industry in fall of 2008-2009 school year was my first year in education. And I joined education as a physical education health teacher. And within 3 years at Maya Angelou Public Charter School in Washington, D.C. is where I started my education experience. Taught there for 3 years, also served as an athletic director, head football coach, head girls basketball coach, head football coach. I got my feet wet in all different aspects. One thing, working in a charter school community, you wear many hats. And that's real good experience when you're young and hungry coming out of school. And after those 3 years, I had an opportunity to become the Dean of Students for Perry Street Prep Public Charter School in Ward 5. At the time, it was called High Leadership Public Charter School, but when I joined, they changed the name to Perry Street Prep, and I started off as the pre-K through 8 Dean of Students. And in the second year, I became the Dean of Students for the high school. And on that journey of becoming, number one, first an assistant principal, the first thing I had to do was just exhaust myself and really get lost in the work, really working not for a job, but working for changing lives of our young people, and becoming the best dean I could possibly be. When I was a teacher, when I was a physical education teacher, I wanted to be the first round draft pick in all physical education teachers in the country. I was trying to be the best physical education teacher ever. When I became an athletic director, I wanted to be the best athletic director ever. And I took that to the dean's role. I wanted to be the best dean of students ever. So my journey started with being hungry and really striving for excellence at every level that I worked, really striving for excellence. And my principals or superintendents or executive directors or assistant principals saw that hunger and always gave me an extra opportunity. So when I was at Perry Street Prep as the dean of students, after my second year, I became the summer school principal, where the administrators would go to different professional developments, but we have young people who need to stay back and get credits so they can go on to the next grade. And that gave me invaluable experience running the summer program, scheduling kids, put them in the classroom, finding out where their deficits are, putting the best teachers in front of them, starting credit recovery. It was a learning experience on every level. And one thing about leadership in general, no matter what level you're on, you cannot be afraid to make mistakes. You have to go in full tilt and really do what's best for young people and not for what's the convenient for adults. So that was one thing that I did. I tried to be excellent at every level I was at, not just to become principal, but so when I get into that role of a principal, I know what every job description is that's underneath that, from assistant principal down to teacher, even to the custodial workers. Even as a principal right now, I clean that cafeteria for breakfast and lunch. I walk around with that trash can. That's a great way to allow me to build relationships with the young people. After Perry Street Prep, I had an opportunity to work in the District of Columbia Public Schools in central office as a specialist of student discipline and school climate, and I oversaw all high school discipline. And I realized that I was carving out a niche for myself being a disciplinarian, and I didn't think I'd be taken serious as an instructional leader. So while in central office, I had an opportunity to become the assistant principal at Benjamin Banneker Academic High School in my after my first year with DCPS, and I learned a lot from Principal Berger, just watching her and the other assistant principal, Miss Janice Hilton, who's been in the district, over roughly 40 years, and I've learned and watched those great leaders maneuver and deal with parents and solve problems and put programs together or schedules together, master schedules, schedule for MCAS or DCCAS or PARC, standardized testing, and just learning all of those aspects. And when it was time and the opportunity was right that I felt for me to put my name in that hat for the principalship, I bet it on myself. I knew what I learned, because here's the reality. Some aspiring administrators, you can see yourself as a leader, but other people may not see you as a leader, especially when they're on top of you. They see you in the role that you are. So people saw me as a dean or as a disciplinarian. They didn't see me as that instructional leader, but I knew I was an instructional leader. So I took a leap of faith on my own and said, hey, listen, I can lead here at Benjamin Banneker Academic High School, and I can learn from some of the best educators. And I took a chance on myself, and I was appointed principal of Southbridge High School I started July 1st, 2016. Out of nearly 30 applicants, I was the number one pick out of the entire panel because of the experience I had coming from DC and how I was able to speak down to detail every level of job that comes under the principalship and talk about what I aspire to do for the community in which I serve. And I was given that opportunity, and I still work with that same fire and that same passion that I have for academic achievement, enrichment achievement, social emotional achievement, leading for excellence like that. Like, I live and breathe that. And it's evident, and it's a testament to the results that we see today. So I know I can get a little long-winded. I get very excited when we're talking about education and leadership. So go ahead.
No, I absolutely love it because it's so important that individuals that are aspiring, okay, that are aspiring to the principalship, that they know that it's not always just a straight shot. You know, you put the work in. And so that's really what I got out of all of that information that you shared. Now,
Yes.
I understand that Southbridge High School is a level 5, you're in a level 5 school district. And so for those of us that are not in the Massachusetts area, can you really explain what that means?
Absolutely. So there's 5 levels. Level 1 is the top level. Level 5 is the bottom level. And early 2016, Southbridge Public Schools was labeled as a level 5 school district. And that means that we became a district under receivership, which means the state received the district. We're a district that's run by the state, and a turnaround plan was developed to turn the district around, to get us out of level 5 and to, get us on the trajectory of level 1. So a level 5 school district is I'm working in a turnover high school. And a lot of different categories. A lot of the reasons why we were taken over was not only the revolving door in leadership at the central office level, but how we underperform compared to the state in different categories, such as students with disabilities, such as English language learners. And that low performance on standardized testing in English and mathematics and science caused the state to say, hey, we need to come and take over this district and put them on the right path. And what that means is I don't work for a traditional superintendent. I work for what is called a receiver. And that receiver works directly for the state of Massachusetts, or work directly for the Commissioner of Education over what we call DESE, which is Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So I'm a principal that worked under state receiver, or I work under the state microscope. So I can't hide out. People know me at the state level down in the Boston area, which is Malden, Massachusetts. So it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of work under pressure. And one thing in educational leadership, you have to tell your own story, because when you're an underperforming district, when people put a stigma on you that you're taken over or whatever the case may be by the state, they tend to tell your story to the media and to the press. It's our responsibility as educational leaders to rebrand our institutions and tell the stories that need to be told, which is the hard work of our educators on a daily basis and the hard work that are put in by our young people on a daily basis.
Speaking of telling your story, you actually just presented, I think, to the town council, was it? I saw an article just today where you are really making strides. And so I want you to talk a little bit about what you had to present and really the outcome of that, because it was absolutely wonderful. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So like many other districts, we take standardized tests. Ours is called the MCAS. And the MCAS is where our 10th graders are measured in English, math, science, and we made a lot of growth. So for example, in 2016, mathematically, our students that were proficient in advanced, that percentage was 35% of our students were either proficient or advanced in math. In 1 year, we raised that percentage to 49% of our students are proficient or advanced in math. So that's a 14% increase. In science, we raised 3% from 35% proficient and advanced in science to 38% proficient and advanced. Our student growth percentiles in English, 51% to 67%. I mean, just massive growth all over the board. Now, we still underperform compared to the state, but this is 1 year under turnaround. We're in 1 year in that turnaround plan, and it shows that we're in the right direction. We're on the right trajectory. And it comes from hard work, building a team. Leadership, now let's be clear. Just because you're a principal don't mean you're good, you're comfortable, your life is lavish. No, not at all. Leadership is a difficult road, especially under turnaround situations, especially, in my opinion, in high schools, because you have to develop a leadership team where there's one common vision. And you also have to have a faculty and staff, people that have been there, that saw leadership come and go. How do they believe in your philosophy, so to speak? That is the hard part. How do you get adults to believe in the vision that you have for academic achievement in your circle, so to speak? And it's very difficult. So yeah, we made a lot of growth. We're doing awesome. I gave a lot of credit, and I give a lot of credit to my assistant principals and my department chairs, all the way down to, and I hate to say down, but all the way to our custodians and our cafeteria workers. I believe that everyone in our schoolhouse have a hand in the academic achievement of our young people.
I think that's absolutely wonderful. And how do you, as a school in a turnaround, and I don't know if the engaging your community and parents is a challenging area or not, but how do you find yourself in engaging your parents and your school community?
Sure. Actually, as you can see right now, I'm in my office. We have parent-teacher conferences tonight. Closed. We finished around 7:15. But one thing I do that's very valuable, and my parents love it a lot, I call all of my young people every Sunday. I do an all call, and I give our parents and students the rundown of what to expect for the week. I start off by giving a shout out on the attendance. I talk about different, activities, sporting events. I talk about upcoming progress reports or report cards, things that are going on in the school community. My parents look forward to that. Every Sunday evening, they're greeted with, "Good evening, Pioneer family. This is Dr. Townsel, principal of Southbridge High School." And I start off telling them the data for attendance, because chronic absenteeism is one of our issues in our district. And then I give them a rundown of things to expect, things that are coming up academically and also enrichment-based. So that is a very, very, very key key tool that I use to connect with my parents. They hear my voice, and when they see me in person, say, "Hey, you're the guy on my answer machine every weekend." Also, I engage I literally get involved with our young people. We had an opportunity recently. We won a national award from the National Association of Secondary School Principals, where our students shot a video for Principal Appreciation Month, where they put together this cool rap video where I actually rapped with them and danced with them on stage, and they saw that interaction. The parents saw that, and they appreciated it. And it actually went viral on Facebook, over 20,000 views, shared over 330 times, nearly 300 likes and interaction comments. The parents really enjoyed that. Parent-teacher conference tonight, we had parents come up and say, "Hey, we love the video that you did," or "We love your messages that we receive every Sunday." So it's purposely getting out there, calling them, connecting a voice with a face, using YouTube, using Twitter, using, pick a social media platform. Now, my parents are not on my Facebook. My parents are not on my Instagram. They don't Snapchat me. But I use Twitter. I think Twitter is a better outlet for me to kind of reach my parents, because it's a little more comprehensive when running an organization or a building.
I think that's absolutely important. And you spoke on the social media, and we have to definitely reach them where they are. And so that's exactly what it sounds like what you're doing. So that's wonderful. So talk to me now a little bit about the focus of Southbridge High School. What are the big rocks for Southbridge High School?
Good. So one thing I was able to develop along with my administrative team, we have something called a district turnaround plan. A part of us being under receivership, we developed a district turnaround plan. This is our plan that's going to guide us out of level 5 status. And aligned with our district turnaround plan, we put together a SIP, which is a school improvement plan. And I ensure, using SMART goals with my team, ensure that we pick, hey, what are 3 or 4 things that we can really focus on and do very well that would not only support our district turnaround plan, but it's custom to Southbridge High School. And we were able to identify 4 things. Number 1, culture and climate. Coming from that high disciplinary background, from RTI to multi-tier systems of support and SST and SBST, I understand that as culture and climate goes, so does instruction, or so does curriculum and instruction. I'm a firm believer you can have Albert Einstein standing in front of the classroom. The kids don't respect him, he's not going to teach anything. So our number 1 focus area is culture and climate, building not only our student, the respect and the cultural responsiveness between our educator and young people, but also respect between adults. A nice culture and climate, great place to come and work, and building those relationships with families. The second bucket is focusing on students with disabilities. Again, we're under receivership, and we perform low compared to the state. So how do we target our students with disabilities? What practices, teaching and learning wise, can we do? What inclusive practices? How do we use universal design for learning to reach all students and boost up their academic performance? Number 3 is English, focusing on our English language learners, or ELL. Also, we compared to the state, we're underperforming there. So how do we do something called SEI, use SEI strategies, which stands for Sheltered English Immersion Strategies. Every teacher in our district, we ensure they went through professional development to receive their SEI endorsement, because my demographic here, nearly half of my students are Hispanic, the other half are white, small percentage of African-American students, and about 20 to 30% of our students speak English as a second language. So how do we become culturally responsive to our young people? So reaching our English language learners. And our 4th area is curriculum and instruction, building curriculum and instruction from the ground up. We started with our math curriculum. We're working on Engage New York. We're doing also our English curriculum. We're using, what is it? Got it right here. University of Pittsburgh Institute for Learning. So our UPIT curriculum, building English standards, social studies. So we're building from the ground up. My goal is to ensure that no matter who sit in the seat as the principal, they have the game plan for taking this school, district, and high school to the next, to infinity and beyond.
Wow. It sounds like, so I got culture and climate, your students with disabilities, your ELL language, English language learners, and curriculum and instruction. Those are some really great target areas, I tell you. So tell me this, you participated in the Urban Superintendent's Academy, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
so
ma'am.
Please tell me about your experience with that. Is that something definitely that's down the line for you?
Absolutely. I had the absolute privilege to be a part of the first graduating class on the first cohort of the AASA USA, which stands for the American Association of School Administrators, Urban Superintendent's Academy, which is a partnership with the AASA and Howard University. And at the time, I was an assistant principal. I was the only assistant principal in this cohort of assistant superintendents, superintendents, principals, and I learned so much. That's ran by Dr. Joe Hairston, professor at Howard University, former superintendent of Baltimore County Public Schools, and Mort Sherman, former superintendent of Alexandria Public Schools. Hopefully I got that right. And these gentlemen put together a world-class program, partnered with Howard University, where they're grooming upcoming school superintendents, because here's the reality. Out of the nearly 5,000 superintendents in our country, less than 5% of them are superintendents of color. If you know anything about public education, the number of minority students that are in public education is constantly growing on a yearly basis, I'd say. So it's grooming urban educators. And right now I'm in Southbridge High School, Southbridge Public Schools in Southbridge, Massachusetts. It's an urban situation. A lot of what comes with urban is students from low-income families, or high-need students, economically disadvantaged students. So we need educators for that. So the AASA Urban Superintendent's Academy, that experience that I received there was invaluable. It was a one-year training. I was blessed to receive a Floretta Dukes McKenzie scholarship, because the program is about $6,000, and you get so much information once a month for a Saturday and Sunday. You come together in Alexandria, Virginia, downtown Alexandria, and you just go on this think tank with thought leaders from across the country. They bring in practicing superintendents from across the country to teach different modules to prepare you for that superintendency. And one thing that I took away from that, which in my opinion is making me, a successful principal, is that this job, you got to understand, is not for the faint of heart. You can't be worried about your feelings about it. You got to work for young people. And you're going to have those great days. You're going to have those bad days. And then one day you have that roller coaster of fate. You have a great thing happen and something bad happen. And you have to be cognizant of that. So great experience. Urban Superintendent's Academy. Oh my God. Like, that took me to a whole nother level. And I did that after receiving my doctorate. So it was like a little extra program on top of a doctoral program. that was very valuable. And, without that experience, I don't think I'd be nowhere close to having the success that I'm having right now.
Wow, it sounds like it was definitely beneficial, and I hear nothing but great things. And Dr. Harrison certainly is top of the notch.
Top shelf.
Absolutely. And so, Dr. Townsel, how can our professionals follow you, contact you, if they want to just follow your work? Please give them your professional contact information.
Absolutely. Please follow me at Draytown. That's the at symbol DRAETOWN. That's on Instagram and on Twitter. Mainly on Twitter, you can see a lot of what I'm doing in the school. I tweet out a lot of things going on in our guidance department, a lot of things about athletics, a lot of things that I do personally, because I also serve as the chairman of the Educational Policies Committee for something called the MSAA. That's the Massachusetts School Administrators Association. So I represent all principals in the state of Massachusetts with regards to educational policies, and I'm on the board of directors of the MSAA. So you can follow all of that on Twitter. That's at Draytown, DRAETOWN. Come follow me. I think I have about 1,000 followers, all authentic, because the work that we're doing is phenomenal. And I really want to tell the world about the great work that's going on, and I really want to be able to contribute to the field of leadership in general. So, yeah, please connect with me.
Absolutely. I am just so grateful that we connected because I follow you, and I am so inspired by the work that you do. As a former principal and now a principal coach, I'm always looking for good things to share with my novice assistant principals and principals, and you certainly provide those good nuggets to share. So I thank you for that.
That's the one thing to assistant principals out there that are looking to become principals. This is one thing that you can do as an assistant principal right now. Be the best assistant principal possible. Like you have to understand how that building works. You have to understand master scheduling. You have to understand the ins and outs. Like you are the building. The assistant principal, you're the building. You have your teachers that you manage, you instructional leaders. Like the better the assistant principal you can possibly be, the principalship, it will be an easy next step because you won't seem as novice. So always take initiative. Reach out to your friend. Ask if you can join different organizations, assistant principal organizations, even principal organizations. As a principal, I always let my assistant principal, anything they want to do, I allow them to do it because it keeps them hungry. I like to feed you when you're hungry, and get out there and be the best possible. Network with other assistant principals in your region or in your district or in your cluster, however you do it, wherever you are, and over time, and you determine what overtime means, but over time, you'll be okay. You'll be a phenomenal principal if that's what you like to do. And when you become a principal, be the best principal you can possibly be. You'll be a phenomenal assistant soup, whatever, Secretary of Education. We're going all the way up.
I love it. Dr. Townsel, I cannot say enough. Thank you so much for taking your evening with me and the viewers of Leadership Matters with Dr. Sharon. I so appreciate you. And I'm grateful that we're connected, and I'm sure we have worked together in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sharon. Listen, keep doing what you're doing. This is valuable to the field of education. It's making me a better leader. So please continue to do what you're doing. You stay encouraged, and don't you give up.
Thank you so much. And viewers, thank you all so much for joining us. This is Dr. Sharon, educator, author, entrepreneur, and speaker. You are viewing Leadership Matters with Dr. Sharon, and I am so glad that you joined us tonight. So thank you. Have a good night, and we will see you next week for another episode. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
All right.